Sylvia?
So daai mense
Platform, can you hear me?
You're coming through loud and clear, Mario.
Speaker mic, can you hear me?
You are audible, sir.
Thank you.
Control, can you hear me? Control, can you hear me?
Recording in progress.
Madam Speaker,
there will now be an opportunity for silent prayer or meditation. May we be seated?
Since we're going to damage this thing.
Yeah, Honorable Lungisani. Honorable Lungisani, can you please switch off your mic? Order, honorable members. The first item on the order paper is questions addressed to the Deputy President. There are 4 supplementary questions on each question. Parties have given an indication on which questions their members wish to pose a supplementary question. Adequate notice was given to parties for this purpose. The members who will pose supplementary questions will be recognized by the presiding officer. In allocating opportunities for supplementary questions, the principle of fairness, among others, has been applied. If a member who is supposed to ask a supplementary question through the virtual platform is unable to do so due to technical difficulties, the party whip on duty or any other member will be allowed to ask the question on behalf of their member. When all the supplementary questions have been answered by the Deputy President, we will proceed to the next question on the question paper. The first question has been asked by Honorable Jimmy Khalakis, the Chief Whip of the Democratic Alliance. The question is given that the government has adopted 4 main priorities. What legislative items as the leader of government business in the National Assembly does he intend to pursue in respect of the 4 priorities the government adopted in its medium-term development plan for inclusive economic growth, poverty alleviation, reducing the cost of living and building a capable state? Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the question posed by Honorable Michalakis, it's important as it gives us an opportunity to highlight progress made towards developing key legislative interventions and policy reforms to achieve the strategic priorities of the Government of National Unity. The Government of National Unity has adopted the Medium-Term Development Plan 2024 to 2029, which has 3 strategic priorities: driving inclusive growth and job creation, reduce poverty and tackle the high cost of living, and building a capable, ethical, and developmental state. In October 2020, government introduced Operation Vulindlela, a significant initiative aimed at accelerating economic reforms. Operation Vulindlela focuses on enhancing the country's growth trajectory and improving its overall economic performance through various strategies. Phase 1 of Operation Vulindlela achieved key reforms in the following areas: energy, water, telecommunications, and visa systems, leading to significant private investment, a more competitive electricity market, and improved mobile connectivity. This includes the passing of the Electricity Regulation Amendment Bill, which was signed into law on the 16th of August last year, and the publication of a ministerial determination and associated regulations to enable the first round of independent transmission projects. Furthermore, President Cyril Ramaphosa signed the Economic Regulation of Transport Bill into law on the 6th of June last year, establishing a new transport economic regulator. This regulator will oversee multiple transport modes, including roads, rail, maritime, and aviation, and aims to enhance coordination and transparency within the regulatory framework of the sector. In May 2025, this year, President Ramaphosa launched Phase 2 of Operation Vulindlela, building on the first phase. Phase 2 of Operation Vulindlela is focusing on improving service delivery at the local government level and addressing spatial inequality while continuing with key reforms in critical sectors. Thus far, we are doing a comprehensive review of the white paper on local government. The white paper is aimed at reforming the local government system, including the introduction of a performance-based financing mechanism designed to enhance the reform of municipal and electricity services. In this regard, Honorable Speaker, that Department of Cooperative Government and Traditional Affairs, COGTA, is developing the Municipal Structures Amendment Bill, sometimes called the Coalition Bill, for Cabinet approval in the next few months. Cabinet also adopted the roadmap for digital transformation of government, which aims to moderate and modernize services through investments in digital public infrastructure. Government has made significant headways in institutional reforms to strengthen our state-owned enterprises. Through the National State Enterprise Bill, we are introducing reforms to strengthen our state-owned enterprises, focusing on improving governance, unbundling monopolies, and introducing competition to reduce costs and boost efficiency, whilst at the same time transforming SOE boards to be fit for purpose. Key initiatives include restructuring in Transnet to allow for competition in rail and port operations, and accelerating Eskom's transition into a systems operator for a decentralized energy market. Honorable Speaker, lastly, as part of our commitment to build a capable, ethical, and developmental state, Parliament is processing the Public Service Commission Amendment Bill and the Public Service Amendment Bill to improve state capacity and professionalize the public service. On the 4th of November this year, the NCOP passed the Public Administration Amendment Management Bill, rather. The bill has been sent to the President for assent. All these reforms demonstrate our commitment to deliver on the medium-term development plan and the strategic priorities of the Government of National Unity. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. I've been informed that the follow-up question will be taken by Honorable Nodada.
Diabulela Somlomo. Deputy President, as responsible partners in the Government of National Unity, we have the duty to challenge policy thinking to advance our fight against current unemployment and poverty. Our thinking should always be about ending poverty, growing the economy, and creating jobs for the 30 million poor, mainly Black South Africans, and the 12 million struggling in the queue of unemployment, mainly young Black South Africans. I'm from deep rural Tsolo in the Eastern Cape, where majority of the people behind these statistics have never benefited from BEE. Deputy President, the DA has tabled legislation to ensure government procurement grows our economy, creates jobs, and frees millions of South Africans locked out of opportunity, and stop the connected looting few benefiting from luxury mansions and vehicles, as you know. Leading government's business, will you stand with the millions of poor South Africans that need a leg up, or will you choose to side with the rich looting connected few? We must envision a new empowerment model for South Africa where the test for redress and transformation is measured by ending poverty and creating opportunities for those who need it most. So the question, Deputy President, is why would you not support a policy or legislation that gives opportunities to those who need it based on a means test rather than keeping economic opportunities only for the politically connected through the BEE? So will you support our economic inclusion legislation to grow the economy and create jobs for poor South Africans? I thank you.
Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Nodada, we all want policies that ensure inclusion. Most of these reforms I'm talking about are intended to ensure exactly that. Triple BEE is currently being reviewed as well. DTI is busy looking at where the gaps are, and I'm sure that you can make an input in that process, because at the end of the day, we want legislation that will ensure that we benefit the majority of South Africans. I will not support legislation that seeks to benefit a few, as you are saying. We want to benefit the majority of the people. And to the extent that there may be weaknesses, let's correct that. Let's make amendments. That's why there's this review. There's no need to ditch the legislation and introduce something else, but let's refine it and make sure that indeed it can ensure the inclusivity that all of us are looking for. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable N.A. Talega Mazibuko.
Deputy President, considering that social compacting between the government, labor, business and civil organizations is central not only to building consensus and social cohesion, but also to achieving the MTDP's 4 main priorities. How is your office strengthening this partnership approach through platforms such as NEDLEC, the Presidential Infrastructure Coordinating Commission, the Presidential Climate Commission, and Operation Vulindlela Steering Committee to ensure that proposed bills or legislative reforms are aligned with stakeholder input and reflect social consensus? I thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Mazibuko. NEDLEC, as we all know, provides a unique platform for dialogue and to ensure social cohesion, especially to ensure that government, business, civil society come together to be able to come out with proposals that seek to support the implementation of these priorities that I've spoken about. Of course, it's important that before we pass legislation in Parliament, that we engage NEDLEC. Because once you get the consensus at the level, it's very easy to ensure that we can pass the legislation that will indeed help us to accelerate the process of transformation. We are working very closely with NEDLEC. I had an opportunity in September to address a NEDLEC summit. So it's a very important institution to us. But the other institutions like the Presidential Infrastructure Coordinating Council and others are also very important, because they assist in providing strategic direction to the work, not only of the president, but of the entire cabinet. So even if you call it the Presidential Commission and so on, but they provide strategic guidance to the work of the entire government. So these are very important institutions, and most of them are driven and underlined by the need for dialogue, social cohesion, so that we bring everybody on board. But thank you very much for your question.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable W.M. Douglas.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Deputy President, thank you for your reply. With respect, your answer highlights intentions and makes more empty promises, but it does not address the widening gap between the 4 stated priorities and government's actual performance in implementing them. If we look at the medium-term development plan, real inclusive economic growth remains stagnant at below 1%, non-existent basically. Unemployment sits at 43.1%, youth unemployment sits at 72.4%, and the global unemployment rate is only 4.9%, making our unemployment rate officially the highest and worst in the world. While per capita income has declined by more than 6% over the last decade, and all poverty indicators have worsened. So, Honorable Deputy President, given these realities and your role as leader of government business, how do the legislative items you mentioned concretely resolve these failures? And why should South Africans believe that new legislation will be implemented effectively when existing laws designed to prevent mismanagement, corruption, and unauthorized expenditure are already being ignored, violated within your own department?
Honorable Member, your time is up. Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Douglas, the plans that government have put in place are being implemented as we speak. So the MTDP, Medium-Term Development Plan, is not just a plan. We have ensured that it's actually an implementable plan with clear timeframes that have been put. So all the ministers, government departments, agencies have clear timeframes in terms of the implementation. As leader of government business, one of my responsibilities is to ensure that we fast track the implementation of legislation, follow up with ministers, but we don't end there, because at the end of the day, legislation must make impact in how we change the lives of our people, particularly poor people. So it's not just the issue of coming with laws all the time and not tracking the impact of these laws. We do exactly that. So what I was saying in this answer is that in order to implement these priorities that the government of national unity has decided on, there is a need for legislation to be put in place in a number of these sectors, as I mentioned, in energy, in water, and so on. And those must be fast-tracked, they must be tracked, they must be monitored, and they must be reviewed when necessary, so that we can make sure that we don't have empty slogans, but real implementation. Thank you very much for your question.
Thank you, Honorable Maimane.
Thank you, Deputy President. The unemployment stats came out today. They indicate that unemployment is on the rise, and we're clear that the majority of the people unemployed happen to be Black. As it so happens, Deputy President, I was in the Eastern Cape, and I want to say this to you, that part of the reasons why people are unemployed is because they don't have a further education that empowers them for their future. So if you are Black in the Eastern Cape and poor, the probability of your education is simply weak. We also know that an economic problem is the fact that there's policy uncertainty within the GNU. There are certain members who say we must look at redress one way, and your party says another way. Now, I welcome that you are reviewing BBBEE, but in that review, I want to ask, can we not focus BBBEE on the education, particularly of Black children? And in that case, if that be so, would you not argue that those who don't support that view maybe should not be serving in your cabinet of government of national unity? Thank you very much.
Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much, Honorable Maimane, for supporting the review. We do urge everybody to support the review. We are engaging even our partners in the GNU to understand what we are doing here. Hopefully, we will convince them that this is the right thing to do. You don't have to throw away the legislation. You review it, amend it, make it better, so that we can achieve our objectives. But I agree with you, Honorable Maimane, that we should invest a lot in education and skills for our people. That's why we have the Human Resource Development Council, which the President has asked me to lead. We work with labor, with business and NGOs. We are putting the issue of education and skills on top of the agenda of what we do, particularly amongst young people, so that we don't have people called unemployed graduates and so on. So that's a very important thing. We are very concerned about high levels of unemployment, even when sometimes they say unemployment has declined a bit by 1%. We don't become excited because it's still high. And therefore, we need to do everything to ensure that these plans that we are reviewing them for to ensure that they are implemented faster. That's why in the government today we speak about the speed of execution. We want things to be done faster and faster so that we can impact positively on the lives of our people. That's what we are doing. Thank you very much for your question.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. We now move to question 20, which has been asked by Honorable the Leader of the Opposition. The question is whether, given his responsibility to lead the government effort to fast-track land reform, he intends to advocate in Cabinet for the approval of amending legislation to Section 25 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. Order as a mechanism to fast-track land reform and backdating the date for land claims to 6 April 1652 instead of the current date of 19 June 1913, so that the land redistribution program achieves its intended transformative effect. If not, what is the position in this regard? If so, what are the relevant details in each case? Deputy President.
Where's the leader of the opposition?
Thank you.
Order, honorable members.
Where's the leader?
There has the order. You have asked a question, I'm answering. Order. There is no change as yet. Yes, that the speaker has been informed of. The leader of government business of MK is still Judge Stopper until advised. Let's continue. Honorable members.
Where's the judge?
Honorable members, we are meeting on hybrid. So we might as well ask all other members who are supposed to be here, where are they? If that's the idea. But for now, we have members who have been asked to make follow-up question to the question that has been asked. Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me thank the Honorable Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Judge Hlophe, for his concern about land reform. I want to reiterate, Honorable Speaker, from the beginning that government remains committed to accelerate land reform. However, the responsibility of amending the Constitution, as the honorable members raised, really rests with Parliament. Honorable members may recall that the 6th Parliament established the Joint Constitutional Review Committee, which held public hearings across South African provinces to gather public input on amending Section 25 of the Constitution. However, the National Assembly could not pass the bill since it required 2/3 majority vote for the 18th amendments of the Constitution. Section 25(7) of the Constitution guarantees that any person or community dispossessed of property after June 19, 1913, due to past racially discriminatory laws or practices, is entitled to either restitution of that property or other equitable redress as provided for by an act of Parliament. This provision forms a critical part of our land reform and restitution process as it addresses the injustices from the apartheid era and beyond. Furthermore, the current constitutional framework provides for expropriation of property subject to just and equitable compensation. To this end, on the 23rd January 2025, President Cyril Ramaphosa signed into law the Expropriation Bill, which repeals the Pre-Democratic Expropriation Act of 1975 and sets out how organs of state may appropriate land in the public interest for a variety of reasons. For its part, the Interministerial Committee on Land Reform and Agriculture has not engaged on the question of backdating land claims prior to 1913, as this would be inconsistent with the provision of the Constitution. However, during the dialogue between government and the National House of Traditional and Khoisan leaders held in August this year, it was agreed that the Minister of Land Reform and Rural Development would convene the National Land Indaba to consolidate and finalize all critical issues related to land reform in the country. As government, we remain focused on strengthening implementation, accelerating redistribution, securing tenure, and ensuring that land already restored to communities become productive and contributes to inclusive economic growth. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President. I've been informed that the supplementary question will be taken by Honorable Molefe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable
honorable members, don't be naughty. You didn't say the same thing when Honorable Nodata took a question for Honorable Michalakis. So, Honorable Molefe has been asked to take the question.
Thank you.
Yes, proceed.
In light of the fact that, Honorable Deputy President, the ANC's own 54th National Conference resolution adopted in Nazareth in 2017 expressly called for expropriation of land without compensation. Sonder vergoeding for the members of the GNU. Will the Deputy President come clean and confirm whether, as ANC deployees in government and in parliament have now abandoned this resolution in favor of the diluted, coward, and sell-out formulation of expropriation with nil compensation, where judges ultimately determine whether compensation is nil or billions of rands to the white farmers? And further, was it a deliberate decision by the ANC during CODESA negotiations to agree on the sellout position that all land stolen between 1652 and 1913 be forgotten as effectively entrenched through Section 25(7) of the Constitution? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Molefe, we did not deviate from the conference resolution. When we came to Parliament to pursue that resolution, we had to engage all other parties. Remember that we have to ensure that we move with all parties. I did say earlier on that when it came to the amendment of Section 25, we were not able to succeed in Parliament to do that because it needed 2/3 majority. But we went further as the ANC to ensure that we have a way in which we can continue to expropriate land. There are circumstances, as you correctly say, where nil compensation is accepted, and that is guiding all government institutions. So land is being expropriated, and where appropriate, and we don't have to pay, particularly because it's for the public good, that is happening. And as we speak today, our only challenge is that we need to move faster. And I'm happy to report that we're beginning to see a much faster movement. We are pushing much faster to expropriate land, guided by what Parliament has decided on. We need to operate within that framework. We can't deviate from it unless it's changed by Parliament. That's how we are going to continue to work. But yes, our people need land and we will provide them with land. That's much we are committed to. We will not deviate from that. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable Puri.
Ndiyalivhuwa mudzulatshidulo mudadza presidente mbudziso yanga ndi ya uri ndi mbekanyamushumo dzifhio dzine muvhuso wa u ṱavhanyisa mavu a u ṋetshedza nahone u swika zwino vha khou ita mini zwi khou tshimbila gai muvhuso wo vha wo tea u sa khou ṱavhanyisa u ṋetshedzwa ha mavu na nga u shumisa mulayo wa u dzhiulula mavu une wa yelana na tshiteṅwa tsha 25 tsha ndayotewa sa izwi vha zwi amba uri muphuresidennde vho saina sa mulayo wa shango une wa tendela u dzhiwa ha mavu u ṱavhanyisa u ṋetshedzwa ha mavu a si tshone tshifhinga na mudadza muphuresidennde uri muvhuso nga matavhi awo mararu une wa vha zwi vhidza nga tshikhuwa uri local, provincial and national u dzhiulule mavu u itela u ṱavhanyisa zwa u ṋetshedza mavu kha vhadzulapo na ndi a livhuwa.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Your time is up. Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Ndiko livhuwa Bophiri. Chivenda cham a chikoba buti. Chiona a chikoba buti. So I understand, Honorable Speaker, that Honorable Peer is concerned about fast-tracking land reform, particularly to ensure that we can reverse the legacy of 1913, where land was dispossessed, particularly from Black people. I want to confirm, Honorable Peer, that we are doing that. We are fast-tracking land reforms. There are a number of people who have received farms now in various parts of the country. You were concerned about what's happening in the provinces as well. We are making sure that farms are distributed to most of those areas in our provinces. It's going to take a bit of time to reverse the legacy of 1913, but it's something that we are dealing with. Recover to the farm. We are giving them farms to ensure that they can till the land, but also we are giving people land to develop their houses and other forms of developments, not just for farming purposes. But the issue of addressing the legacy of 1913, it's something that we are dealing with.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable Mkhalipi.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Deputy President, the 12th Lamosa report on land court submitted in June 2025 shows that there is a total of 5,364 outstanding land claims from the claims that were lodged before the 1998 deadline. It further shows that the Commission for Restitution of Land Rights will need a further 30 years to settle these remaining land claims at a cost of 172 billion. There are still new order land claims that will not be processed until 1998 claims are concluded. This surely demonstrates to you, Deputy President, that the land restitution as a form of land redistribution is not working as currently conceptualized. Has the Deputy President thought of introducing the expropriation of land without compensation within the GNU and canvass and take a position and come and present the new bill here in Parliament as you elaborated earlier on.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Time is up. Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Member Mkalipi, for the follow-up question. I did say earlier that the ANC is pro-expropriation of land without compensation. We have never deviated from that. But I said when we came to Parliament, it was clear that engaging with other parties, we're not able to go that route, and therefore introduce another approach, which, of course, Honorable Mlefe was saying earlier that it's a sellout position. But it's working, because we are saying that there would be instances where land can be expropriated with nil compensation. And particularly for land that we require for public good, for public purposes, to build schools, to ensure that we build clinics, and ensure that people can come up with new development. But we are giving people farms as we speak. So it's not that this is not happening. So the issue, Member Mkalipi, of coming up with new legislation, it's something that can be done, but at the moment, let's use what we have. It is working. It is working. I think let's use it. Let's not dump it and say it's not working. It is working. You must ask the Minister of Land, who will tell you that it is working. The Minister of Land Reform will tell you it's working. I've been out there with him, giving communities and people land in various parts of our country. And as I said, all we need to do is to move a bit faster. It is working.
Thank you. Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable S.S. Zibi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Deputy President, urbanization is a global phenomenon. It also is happening here in South Africa, which means millions of South Africans move to or closer to urban areas where they do not have any land on which to build their own homes and to settle. What is government's plan to stay ahead, to catch up with the rate of urbanization, and then stay ahead of the urbanization rate so that when South Africans move to urban areas, they do not have to suffer the indignity of being evicted or having to stay in informal settlements? Thank you.
Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Indeed, Honorable Zibi, many people are moving to cities. And it's not just a South African phenomenon. You find it all over the world. People believe that a better life is in the cities. And when they get there and don't get employment, then they start building shacks. That's why you have a proliferation of informal settlement in provinces like Gauteng, the Western Cape, and to some extent KZN, in areas like Durban. You find people moving in. Our plan is that land must be released and developed to settle people. Now, one thing that I've noticed is that many of our people believe that you can only deal with the homelessness of many people who are coming from rural areas through RDP housing. But it doesn't have to be that way. Many people do accept, if you develop land, make sure there are basic services like water and so on, people do settle and they build their own homes. So in short, I can say what needs to be done, and I know the Minister of Housing has got this program called Rapid Land Release. It's exactly for that purpose, so that we can deal with the mushrooming of informal settlement. And sometimes people settle on land that is not suitable. But if government provides the land, develop it properly, we will be able to guide urbanization. Otherwise, people will then, settle on flat lines, and then we have problem of floods and so on. So the Rapid Land Release Program will deal with that challenge, and it is happening as we speak. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. We now move to the next question, question 21, which has been asked by Honorable D.E. Mpapane. The question is, given that the majority of communal property associations, commonly known as CPAs, are dysfunctional and are struggling due to lack of government support, resulting in the deterioration of these institutions, which carrying aging leadership of over 55 years old, indicating a generational gap and lacking younger leadership to drive these associations forward, while also beset with internal factionalism, mismanagement, and corruption, they remain critical stakeholders in land reform programs. What strategies has he therefore implemented in his effort to fast-track land reform and overcome the imminent specified challenges faced by CPAs? Order, Minister Kotongane, which have led to the failure of various land reform programs that negatively impacted the productivity and success of land reform efforts. Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, government recognizes that communal property associations, CPAs, remain central to the success of our land reform program. Therefore, the question posed by the Deputy Chief Whip of the ANC, Honorable Mpapane, regarding the functionality of CPAs, it's important as it highlights the need to focus on these critical enablers for our land reform program. However, CPAs around the country are facing substantial governance and operational challenges because of internal disagreements that are limiting their efficacy and preventing beneficiaries from reaping the economic benefits of land reform program transfers. To address these challenges, President Cyril Ramaphosa signed the Communal Property Association Amendment Bill into law on the 30th of September last year, which amends the 1996 Communal Property Association Act. In terms of this new legislation, land under the control of CPAs will be owned by residents who are members of associations and not by the leaders of the associations themselves, but every member of the community should be part of the ownership of the land. This act also established a communal property associations office, which will be managed by a registrar of communal property associations to improve oversight and administration. These changes aim to address challenges, enhance member rights, and improve the management of communally owned properties in South Africa. To this end, the acting registrar was appointed on the 1st of April this year, while the permanent office is being established through a fit-for-purpose structure that will support this mandate. In this regard, government has placed emphasis on ensuring that every CPA become a sustainable, transparent, and inclusive vehicle for community ownership, thereby fulfilling the constitutional goal of equitable access to land for all South Africans. Through the Department of Land Reform and Rural Development, government is implementing practical support for communities, which includes the following measures: training and governance audits to help CPA committees meet compliance standards. Secondly, technical advice through transactional advisors who assist with business plans and management systems. Thirdly, mediation services via the Land Rights Management Facility to resolve disputes and reduce costly litigation. And fourthly, youth and women participation programs to renew leadership within the CPAs. These measures form part of a single coordinated approach under the work of the Interministerial Committee on Land Reform and Agriculture. It is therefore incumbent upon all key role players, including members of CPAs themselves, to perform their functions in a manner that advances the interests of their members and communities at large. As for our part, through the newly established Office of the Registrar of CPAs, government will continue to monitor the functionality of CPAs by ensuring that they are properly governed and are in compliance with the provisions of the CPA Act. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable Mpapane.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thanks, Honorable Deputy President, for the comprehensive report, a response to my question. Honorable Deputy President, the Department of Land Reform and Rural Development in the financial year end of 2024 indicated that 1,744 CPAs were registered. 82% of those CPAs are non-compliant, 7% partially compliant, then 11% are fully compliant. Honorable Deputy President, the future looks bleak. And also in 2024, that amendment, as you have indicated, that the President signed it into law, was introduced. So what enforceable measures, what enforceable consequence management are being implemented to deal with the persistent non-compliance and also the corruption within the CPAs? Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much, Honorable Mpapane, for that question. Your observation is correct. I did say earlier that there have been a lot of challenges facing our CPAs. In fact, when I travel throughout the country, I found that where we're making faster progress with land reform is where the CPAs are working well. So that's why the President then decided that we should come up with a mechanism to intervene. So the Registrar of Communal Property Associations, it's a mechanism to intervene. Look at these areas where there are disputes. The registrar has powers to dissolve a committee that is not working, appoint a new one. So they can put aside a committee which is involved in conflict and ensure that a new one is appointed through the Communal Properties Association Amendment Act. That act gives them powers to be able to do so. In some instances, they can appoint an interim committee to be able to perform this work. So once there are these interventions, you begin to see progress in many areas where there have been challenges. So we're going to continue to to assist CPAs, including with training, because some of them, you find that they are ordinary community members who are trying to do work, but they need to be given capacity. So training is included as part of assisting the CPAs to strengthen them, because they are really the backbone of ensuring that we can fast track the redistribution of land. So thank you very much for the question. We are really intervening in that manner. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable Nana.
Thank you, thank you, Speaker. And Deputy President, building on what the Deputy Chief of the NC has just mentioned, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing all over and all over again, expecting different results. It is true that over 80% of our CPAs have failed. Now, it is abundantly clear, Deputy President, that the system is either not working in South Africa or not suitable for our environment. Is it not about time that we should look elsewhere for other forms of land ownership, learn from those people, particularly those who have walked this path before us?
Thank you, Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Yes, indeed, there are a lot of challenges with respect to the current model of CPAs. You know, when we started with this program, obviously we thought it would be smooth sailing, but there are challenges when you begin to provide land to people. And most of these challenges, they come from families and so on, you know, who's the rightful owner of the land, communities. So it's true that we must continue to look at whether there are best models elsewhere that we can use. Currently, the Minister of Land Reform is busy with that to ensure that we can see how we can improve. But we are trying our best to ensure that we resolve the problem. That's why the Act was amended to bring in the registrar to ensure that we don't have to waste time. If people can't work together, we can dissolve, put in a new committee, and move ahead. We will continue to pay special attention because the issue of land is very important to us. We want people to get land. Funa abantu bawufumana umhlaba. Mabawufumana. Sayilungisa lento. Bawufumana umhlaba.
Honorable Maxine.
Yeah. Siyabonga, Honorable Nan. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Others don't know who Honorable Maxine is. It's Honorable Mkalipi. Honorable Khadebe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Deputy President, recognizing that the limited productivity of communal property associations threatens both local livelihoods and national food security, what comprehensive strategies and measurable interventions has government implemented to ensure that CPA managed land contributes effectively to agricultural output, supports rural job creation, provides market access for small-scale producers, and strengthens food security across all provinces as part of an integrated national land reform and rural development program? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much, Honorable Khadebe, for the follow-up question. When we go around looking at the programs of land reforms, I've come across some very important initiatives that are working. So it's one thing to train people, which we are doing, but some of the initiatives that are working very well is when emerging farmers and established farmers are partnering. And I've seen a lot of those programs in the Free State, in Mpumalanga, working very well. When we're in Bethlehem, emerging farmers who are planting apples and exporting them to Europe in a partnership with other farmers. Very successful model. Same thing in Mpumalanga, I've seen in the Free State and also in KZN. So we are encouraging that as well because we want this initiative to be productive. When people get land, we don't want land to lay fallow. We want the land to be used, to be productive, and so on. The last thing maybe to say on the issue raised, Honorable Khadeb, is that it's support for emerging farmers. We have noticed that in the earlier years, government would give people land and not provide support continuously. And I'm not saying we should babysit people, but we must just be conscious that we must be there for a while, look at what they're doing, where they need help, kind of support, and so on. So we're looking at the combination of all these things so that these people who receive land should not fail. But I agree with you that it's important that we need to ensure food security, we need to ensure productivity, and we can do it if government is there and giving support. And I can assure you, we are doing it. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable Mahlatsi.
Thank you, Speaker. Khotso, Mafrika Deputy President. In the view of the persistent challenges confronting communal property association, including weak governance structures, limited technical and financial support from the state, and the prevalence of aging leadership that exclude younger and more skilled generation from decision-making processes. These challenges have led to poor land productivity, community disputes, and the collapse of many restitution projects. What specific measures has the government introduced to reposition CPA's functions and sustainable institutions that can effectively manage restituted land and contribute to rural economy transformation? Kanimambo.
Thank you, Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Khotso Morenaka. Taba o e buang e botlhokwa haholo. Haholo taba ya re tlise batho ba batjha. Ke le ka e bua peleng gore se re qadile taba eo. To bring the younger generation on board, men and women. We know that young people like urban life. They don't like to be farmers and all that. But if we train them earlier in life, encourage them, they will go in that direction. So we are doing it already. I think Honorable Mpapani's question earlier did raise sharply the issue of younger generation coming on board to be part of leading the CPAs. E tla re thusa haholo eo gore batho ba batjha ba be teng e be bona re ska ra ko ba batho ba se ba le ba godile ba batjha ba tle ba bereke le bona, so that they get knowledge from the older ones, but we make sure that the younger ones become more active in these associations because they are very key in driving land reform. And we do need this young blood, young people, men and women, come on board, serve on CPAs, and drive this program. Kia leboga, Morenaka, Kalamambo.
Kanimambo.
Kalimambo. 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 Yeah.
Thank you, Deputy President. We now move to question number 22, asked by Honorable J.S. Malema. Question 22 asks whether the Deputy President has found that the public pronouncement and statement of political parties and/or organizations represented within the Government of National Unity on key economic factors reflect a fundamental disagreement within the GNU, and which contributed to the previous budget impasse, represent a GNU that is united and coherent in its approach to economic policy formulation implementation. If not, what steps does he intend taking to ensure that the country is not governed by a disjointed executive without a coherent economic direction? Which economic program and government business he is ultimately responsible for facilitating in the National Assembly as the leader of government business? If so, how does he reconcile the conflicting public positions of political parties and/or organizations on economic policy within the GNU? Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, allow me to begin by affirming to Honorable Malema that the Government of National Unity is coherent and working. However, it is true that the Government of National Unity has encountered challenges, has encountered challenges in fostering cooperation across political and ideological divides. Such differences in political ideologies and policies are inevitable in the Government of National Unity that is made out of 10 political parties. So here we're not talking about 2 parties, it's 10. Now, you know, when you have 10 parties, you can't expect that it will just be smooth sailing. The Government of National Unity statement of intent serves as a foundation for this government as it outlines shared principles and priorities that continue to guide coalition parties. As a Government of National Unity, we are resolving our political and ideological disagreements through a consensus-building framework, commitment to a unified statement of intent, and the implementation of designated conflict resolution mechanism. In this regard, last year, President Cyril Ramaphosa announced the establishment of a GNU clearinghouse mechanism to resolve policy disagreements and delegated the Office of the Deputy President to lead the clearinghouse mechanism. Thus far, the GNU clearinghouse mechanism was instrumental in advancing recommendations on the implementation, firstly, of clauses 4 and 5 of the Basic Education Laws Amendment Act. And as a result, President Cyril Ramaphosa authorized the full implementation of the Basic Education Laws Amendment Act on the 20th of December last year. On the 29th of October this year, the GNU clearinghouse mechanism adopted its terms of reference, which creates a framework for resolving conflicts where consensus cannot be reached. Through these terms of reference, we have agreed that the clearinghouse mechanisms serves as a recommending body rather than a decision-making structure. Any unresolved issues at the level of the clearinghouse will be referred to the Political Leaders Forum for decision-making. On the 3rd of November, leaders of political parties in the GNU concluded a highly productive 2-day retreat. The leaders met to reflect on progress in the implementation of the priorities identified in the GNU Statement of Intent, to discuss contemporary national and international issues, and to address critical issues facing the country. Political leaders unanimously agreed that the GNU remains united and strong.
Order. Order. Order, honorable members. Wait, let's allow the Deputy President to finish. No, he has eyes, he is seeing. Thank you.
Honorable members, I'm not done.
Yes, Deputy President, I was just saying thank you to the members who are making noise to say you do have eyes, you can see who's clapping, who's not clapping. So they mustn't direct you. Deputy President, you can proceed.
The leaders also reflected on the budget process for 2025. Together, we have committed to ensure more efficient collaboration when formulating budgetary priorities and frameworks, having learned valuable lessons from the previous experience. So there won't be fights about budgets this time. The leaders have met. Honorable Speaker, the GNU remains focused on key priorities to enhance the South African economy.
Order, honorable members. You will have an opportunity to ask a supplementary question.
Yes, you can ask a supplementary question. It seems they are not happy when the GNU works well.
Order, honorable members. Can we allow the Deputy President to finish on that answer?
Honorable Speaker, the GNU remain focused on key priorities to enhance the South African economy, including rapid and inclusive economic growth. Together with members of the executive, we have been working on an investment drive to market our economic policy and to attract foreign direct investments to our country. Through our visit to London in September last year and the South Africa-France Investment Conference, which took place in May this year, we have been able to boost our trade and investment relations with the United Kingdom and France. Our objective included promoting South Africa as an ideal investment destination, highlighting opportunity in sectors such as renewable energy, manufacturing, agribusiness, and the digital economy. This includes the recent investment drive led by the President in Malaysia, Vietnam, Indonesia, and also to the Swiss Federation. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, the GNU is moving towards the right direction. Together, we are executing an economic program that has been agreed upon by all partners in government. The GNU acknowledges and adheres to established protocols and procedures of government in which the executive authority is exercised jointly by members of the cabinet and the president. All ministers and deputy ministers in the government of national unity, regardless of their party affiliation, are collectively implementing the mandate and the common program of action of government, which is aimed at improving the lives of all South Africans for the better. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Order, honorable members. Now with supplementary questions. I'm informed that the supplementary question from Honorable Malima will now be taken by Honorable Nolinchung.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Speaker. Statistics South Africa published their quarterly labor survey today, indicating that unemployment is stubbornly high at 31.9%.
Yes.
While the expanded rate of unemployment is at 42.4%. This indicates that your tinkering with neoliberal policies over the past 30 years has led to immeasurable suffering by the majority of our people,
who are jobless for most parts of their lives. Have you and your GNU partners reflected of the failure of the neoliberal policies to create jobs and transform our economy over the past 30 years? More specifically, have you reflected on the need for a more radical redistribution to wealth to tackle the colonial and apartheid legacy of concentration of jobs and opportunities on white settlers? I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Noluchungu, when the leaders of the GNU met a week ago on the 2nd and 3rd of this month. When they met on the 2nd and 3rd of this month, on top of the agenda was our first priority as a GNU, driving growth and job creation. As a first thing on top of that agenda, that whatever we do, let's make sure that we drive growth and we create jobs for our people. Let's make sure that all government departments, agencies are focused on this priority. So we came out of that retreat having agreed that we must ensure the speed of execution in ensuring that we can get this to work so that it doesn't become a slogan. So we are busy ensuring that we grow the economy and we create jobs for our people. One of the things I said just now is that we are going all over the world to attract investors to this country. I've just said that, I've been to Europe, to Japan, and the president is also out there previous 2 weeks. And interestingly, and I'm sure honorable members will like this, people are prepared to come in big numbers to invest in our country. And I think we must encourage that. That's why the proper working in unison and unity of the GNU is a positive thing, because investors look at that stability of the country, but they see a united leadership that is focused, and therefore they are coming. It's very important because investors look for those signs, whether people are focused.
Order, honorable members.
It shouldn't be a sign of joy, honorable members. It's a sign of focus. We are
Order, honorable members.
So, Honorable Speaker, let me conclude answering Honorable Noluchungu that, Honorable Noluchungu, yes, we have to focus on driving growth and creating jobs. We are doing exactly that. And one of the things the president has done is said to all members of the cabinet, whether you are from the ANC or any other party, said, when you bring a memoranda here, I want to see the time frames. When are you going to implement this? When are we going to achieve the result? Otherwise, don't bring your memo here. So there is a very strong focus to get things done and done them faster. And we have to create jobs for our people, and we are doing it. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy President. Speaker. Honorable Dr. MJ Masongani.
Speaker.
Yes, order. Honorable Maxine, what is the point of order?
Honorable Mkhalipi.
Honorable Maxine, stop him, Khalip.
Deputy President, are you still radical or have you been captured lately?
Order, that's not the point of order. Honorable Dr. MJ Masongani.
Okay, Mr. Speaker.
na khensa na Deputy President. Deputy President, mi twa ku ri GNU mirhi ya tirha. Mara a hi vuyeleni eka mhaka ya triple BEE. A ku na ku twanana aka tiphati leti nga laha ka GNU. Hi tlhela hi vulavula hi mhaka ya foreign policy. Loko vulavula hi foreign policy, van'wani va ya hala Israel, van'wani va ya hala America. So ehenhla ka terms of reference of the clearing house mechanism, mi lava ku swi endlisa ku yini ku va na stability ku fikela laha na ti-investors ti vonaku hi vulavula hi nomo wun'we, hayi van'wani va ya America va ka va suka hala va fika va badmouth the country mara va ri vona ti-member ta GNU. Mi lava ku yi lunghisa njhani mhaka leyi in the interest of the country? Khensa, Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Tatan Maswanganyi, mhaka leyi i vulavuriwile swinene loko ka retreat leya ya ku ri hi fane ku ri hi tirha hi ndlela yin'we. Mhaka leyi ya foreign policy hi vulavurile ku ri hi ta endla nkarhi ku ri hi tshama hi vulavula kahle ku endlela ku ri van'wani va nga yi le van'wani va ya le. Hi ta endla nkarhi for yona. Na ya triple BEE hi va vonisile lavan'wani ku ri mi nga tirhi hi le ndlela ya ku ri mi ta susa swilo mi tisa swin'wana. Hi ku ri na hi sungurile ku no endla review ku ri mhaka leyi ya triple BEE i tirhela vanhu hinkwavo. Hi ku ri van'wani va ri hayi mhaka ya triple BEE i tirhela vanhu van'wani a yi tirheli swinene vanhu lava hluphekaka. Hi ta yi lunghisa mhaka yeyo. Hi ri GNU hi vuya ka tipati to hambana, different ideologies, so swi ta endleka ku ri kun'wana ku nga vi na ku twanana kahle. That's why hi endle ku ri ku va na this clearing house mechanism ku ri laha swi nga lunghangi kona hi ya halaya hi ya swi lunghisa. And the good thing, honorable members, is that at the retreat, the terms of reference of the clearinghouse mechanism were ratified and adopted by the leaders. Meaning we have now agreed that this is the way we are going to work. If there is a dispute on policy and so on, it will go to the clearinghouse, work on it. If there's still a difference or disagreement, we don't vote in the clearinghouse. The chairperson would rather say, okay, let's have another meeting. Or
Order, Honorable Titebe, can you please switch off your mic?
Let's have another meeting, or rather let's put up a small committee. Iswendlisa tano tatan Maswanganyi ku va na committee leyi nga ta swi languta ibuya hi nga swi endlisa hi ndlela leyi. And that's what we are trying to do. Until now, there has not been any voting in the GNU. We reach consensus and agree on how we work, and it's working very effectively. There was a bit of a challenge with the clearinghouse. We took a bit of time, but it's now resolved. So it's all system go. Asulungisa tatan Maswanganyi. Yeah, itakari mi byela cross swi endlisa njhani swa lunga swona. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President. Honorable Dr. M.J. Berker.
Madam Speaker, economic policy incoherence can come from multiple sources, such as not establishing the terms of reference of a GNU clearinghouse mechanism for more than a year. Another source.
Order, Honorable Titebe.
Another source, Madam Speaker, there's rumors of wanting to include parties within the GNU who do not believe in Section 25 of the Constitution. Would the Deputy President agree with me that both of these are bad for policy certainty? And what role has the Deputy President played in creating this uncertainty?
Thank you, Deputy President. Now, why do you want to answer for the Deputy President? Order, honorable members. Deputy President?
It seems somebody is answering for me already. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. In fact, Honorable Berger is asking me a question that I've already answered, in a sense that I did say that we have resolved the clearinghouse mechanism. All you could say is that, yeah, it took too long. Yeah, yes, we agree, it took too long. But it has been resolved. That's the point I'm making. And it has been resolved not through voting. We had to find one another. And we have. We've done so. So we are happy that it has been done. Now we are focusing on implementation. There may be areas where we don't agree, and we've agreed in the mechanism that there will be instances where we agree to disagree, but the country must move forward. Nobody will keep the country back because there's something they don't agree with. People must learn to make compromises so that the country can move forward. The GNU is working very well.
Order.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. I think members have a takeaway word today. Focus. Honorable R.A. Trollip.
Speaker, Honorable Deputy President, the previous budget impasse came about because GNU partners couldn't agree on the budget. And that impasse led to, amongst others, the chairperson of the Finance Committee, the Secretary General of the ANC, coming to us, our support for the fiscal framework. And they made all sorts of commitments that the VAT would be scrapped before the tabling of the next budget. Those commitments didn't really materialize because it was poorly handled. The Minister of Finance was overseas. Commitments made weren't honored. And then the Minister of Finance had to go to court, on the steps of court, settle with their main GNU partner and the EFF, who claimed Pyrrhic victories at your expense. Is the medium-term budget policy statement set to be presented tomorrow without embarrassing incident as before, due to the ingrained divisions in the GNU? Or will your newfound unity and focus prevail?
Order, honorable member. Your time is up. Thank you, Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable member, we have found one another. So don't be worried about anything.
Order. Let's allow the Deputy President. The questions, Deputy President, that come from the side.
I did say earlier, if you were listening to me, that we have learned from that experience. I'm not sure what happened in the morning, but we have learned from the previous experience. And remember, GNU's success is not lack of disagreements, but rather the ability to be able to forge ahead with consensus. And that's what we are doing. So honorable members, don't be worried about the budget or anything. We are going forward. We have agreed. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President. Indeed, in the morning, for honorable members, which I nearly forgot, we were advised that the MK party have reinstated Honorable Makubela as the chief whip of the party. Congratulations, Honorable Makubela. We now move order. Order, honorable members. Order. I do think sooner you will have your nice end of the year speeches and, talk to each other about how it was during the year. We now move to question 23, which has been asked by Honorable Hadebe to the Deputy President. The question is, in the light of the growing influence of organized drug cartels across the Republic, which threaten the Republic's national security and community safety, what concrete step is the Cabinet Committee on Justice, Crime Prevention and Security taking at a national level to strengthen the coordination amongst law enforcement, intelligence and border agencies to dismantle the criminal networks and curb the flow of drugs in the Republic? Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me welcome this critical question by Honorable Hadebe. Through the Cabinet Committee on Justice, Crime Prevention and Security, JCPS, government is implementing a single nationally coordinated plan to counter the drug threat by combining intelligence, prosecution, and border enforcement. The JCPS committee provides strategic direction for policy and planning through the National Drug Master Plan, which sets out the national strategy for reducing supply, demand, and harm, and is jointly implemented together with the social protection cluster. With respect to law enforcement, the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation, the HAWKS, targets serious corruption, organized crime, and commercial crime. Drug manufacturing and dealing fall within this mandate, with the South African Narcotics Enforcement Bureau serving as a specialist section for investigating serious drug-related cases. The National Priority Crime Operational Committee brings together the heads of the National Prosecuting Authority, that's the NPA, the Financial Intelligence Center, the Special Investigating Unit, the South African Revenue Service, SAPS Detective Service and Crime Intelligence, and the NPA's Asset Forfeiture Unit. Given the global nature and extent of the drug problem, South Africa continues to collaborate with partners at the regional, continental, and global levels, particularly to cap cross-border drug trafficking and strengthen law enforcement. In this regard, SAPS and the HAWKS host multiple liaison desks that enable real-time collaboration with foreign counterparts for cross-border operation and intelligence exchange. This collaboration is underpinned by mutual legal assistance agreements with various countries around the world. This helps to secure evidence and support extraditions. These relationships are further structured through bilateral ministerial memoranda of understanding. South Africa, Mozambique, and Tanzania have established trilateral planning cells, TPCs. The TPC was created to coordinate cross-border and transnational operations to counter the illicit flow of heroin and methamphetamine, or sometimes called crystal meth, along the southern route, which links West Asia and East Africa and beyond the Southern African Development Community, which is the SADC region. During the 2025 financial year, the Hawks were successful in dismantling 19 clandestine drug laboratories, making 45 arrests and 18 of those sites with at least 2 cases involving identified international actors and ongoing investigations. Over the same period, there were 263 arrests linked to manufacture or dealing with illicit drugs, alongside the confiscation of drugs, manufacturing equipment, and the precursor chemicals with an estimated value of over 469 million rands. Through our efforts to deal with organized crime, money laundering, and criminality linked with terrorism, the Financial Action Task Force, FATF, announced the removal of South Africa on the FATF grey list on the 24th of October this year. This follows over 2 years of intensive efforts by the country led by National Treasury to address strategic deficiencies in the anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing systems. The delisting, Honorable Speaker, is a major milestone that acknowledges South Africa's success in meeting all the 22 action items required by the FATF action plan. So we have met all of them as we speak. We congratulate National Treasury and all government departments and agencies on this success, on their collective efforts and commitment to ensure that the country exits the FATF grey list. Government will continue with coordinated efforts to dismantle criminal networks and cap the flow of drugs into our country. We call on all of society to continue to collaborate with us on these efforts. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable Hadebe, do you have a follow-up question?
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. The follow-up question is, while the measures to strengthen coordination among law enforcement and security agencies are welcomed, we can all agree that the scourge of organized drug cartels must be addressed decisively and proactively. Therefore, Honorable Deputy President, I would like to know what long-term measurable strategies does the government have in place to ensure a sustained and proactive national response, one that does not just disrupt these criminal networks, but also prevent these activities from recurring in the future. Thank you.
Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Hadebe, for the follow-up. One of the issues that we looked at is a coordinated effort by law enforcement agencies. As I said earlier, that we're now getting them to work together. You are aware, Honorable Hadebe, that we have now strengthened our border management through the Border Management Agency, because some of the drugs, they come through these borders. So all these authorities now work in a coordinated fashion, particularly to ensure prevention, as you say, rather than wait for the problem to happen, because illicit drugs is a big problem, illicit money laundering, and so on. So if you have SARS on board, working with SARS and SIU, NPA, all of them in a coordinated fashion, I think we will be able to beat these criminals in their game. So that's really what we are doing, but also well-funded efforts for these agencies of government. So they do have I won't say they have sufficient resources, all of them, but because of coordination, I think they are able to pull their resources together to able to deal with this problem. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable Denner, you may ask the second follow-up question.
Thank you, Chairperson. Deputy President, the proliferation of synthetic drugs and the emergence of new psychoactive substances pose a significant challenge to law enforcement efforts. What steps are being taken to address the evolving nature of drug trafficking, including use of the dark web platforms and cryptocurrency, and how is the government investing in capacity building of law enforcement agencies to stay ahead of these emerging threats? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Dinner, as I said earlier, that the coordinated approach is the most successful one. We do see results. We are ensuring that these agencies of government are properly funded to do their work. And we will continue to monitor the results. We do now have in the presidency a minister responsible for monitoring, evaluation. So we look at our programs, we evaluate them. So far, we think this approach is working, but the drug problem is quite huge. And it's something that might take us a bit of time to get rid of. We may not get rid of it completely, but I think with the efforts we have now, we are going to make sure that we prevent drugs coming into our country or being manufactured in our country. You have seen in some of the provinces where we're able to discover actual factories manufacturing drugs. So we're using intelligence as well, so that as Member Hadebe said earlier, we must ensure prevention. So with intelligence, we are able then to know in advance or be able to infiltrate the syndicates and be able to find them wherever they are. So these measures are working and we are going to continue monitoring them. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable Swart, you may ask the next follow-up.
Thank you, House Chair. House Chair, the ACDP commends government on the delisting from the FATF grey list, and this is a huge step in the right direction. There are other ways as well, Honourable Deputy President, such as asset forfeiture of the proceeds of crime, which can result in crime not paying. Secondly, strengthening whistleblower protection. And we saw the tragic death of Babita Deokora. Would the Honourable Deputy President consider these as well as the very important issue relating to porous borders, which we know is a way that drugs come into the country, and given the resources that SAPS has to border management, which still have to be transferred? Chair, I appreciate I had a few questions there, so I am in your hands. Thank you.
Honourable Deputy President, we're in your hands.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. I'm in your hands. Honourable Swart, yes, indeed. Asset forfeiture, I've mentioned them earlier. They are part of our coordinated efforts. The Minister of Justice is currently looking at the issue of whistleblowers and see how it can be tightened up in the legislation, because it's very important as well that whistleblowers are protected. So we are working on that. We have, or let me rather say, we are tightening up border control through the Border Management Agency. You're quite right with your last comment on the SAPS to transfer some of the responsibilities to the Border Management Agency. That is being worked on now. It's something that was outstanding. So as a result, we don't have enough manpower there. in the border management agency. So the issue, because this function was with the police, but when they transferred the function to the border management agency, they didn't transfer the warm bodies. So as a result, the border management agency started with very few people compared to when SARS was there. So it's something that we're trying to resolve so that we do have, we can never say we'll have enough because our borders are quite long, stretching over long kilometers, but we are going to increase personnel on the borders. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable Ismail Musa, the last opportunity for a follow-up is yours.
Thank you, House Chair. His Excellency, Deputy President, I'm sure we are in agreement that drug trafficking is largely driven by socio-economic inequalities, lack of law enforcement, and transnational crime networking, which all have a negative impact on communities. Knowing and bearing in mind that there are some corrupt officials at border posts and airports and corrupt officers within SEPs who work hand in hand with these cartels, what steps or measures is the Deputy President taking to act against those corrupt officials and take the bull by its horns, against corrupt police officers who are the barriers to effectively address and combat drug trafficking? Is our fellow South African citizens feeling really comfortable and safe to report and expose these serious crimes?
Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Musa, for the question. I did say earlier that the Minister of Justice is working on the issue of whistleblowers in terms of ensuring that there's legislation that will protect them. At the moment, there isn't, and they are very important in this process. Yes, it is true that drug trafficking is also linked to socioeconomic conditions in our country because, you know, where people are unemployed and starving, it's easy for the drug cartels to get them into that trade because then they can make money. They even sell this to school children and so on. So addressing socio-economic conditions, it's something that we must continue to do and, you know, do it urgently whilst also strengthening our law enforcement. Corrupt officials, we must deal with them harshly. Let's make sure that when police connives with criminals, they must be taken out of the system. We can't leave police to continue working with criminals, and we know them, and they are there. They keep working as police officers. They shouldn't. So that is important. But also communities. Communities must also help. That's why we had said before, and I think I've said this on a few occasions, that we must strengthen our CPFs, because in most cases, communities know who's selling drugs. In most cases, they know. These people, they live amongst us, but then we keep quiet because he or is my brother or my sister. So communities are very important to flush out drug dealers because they are there in our communities. But government will do its part as well, tighten the borders so drugs don't come in, but also through intelligence, make sure they are not manufactured in the country. But thank you very much for your question, Honorable Musa. Thank you, Chairperson. Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable members, the last question has been asked by the Honorable Hlongo. The question is, given that the district development model is critical for microeconomic development to ensure inclusive economic development and localized job creation, which connects people to markets and markets to each other, to create economies of scale for urban and rural industrialization in order to enhance small, medium and micro enterprises. What progress has been made to date in the development of the district development model, and what are the critical challenges to overcome to ensure the successful implementation of this model? Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson. Honourable Chairperson, let me appreciate this important question from Honourable Hlongo. Inclusive economic development and localized job creation constitute key objectives of the district development model, the DDM, approach to service delivery. The DDM approach prioritizes districts and metros for the development and allows for a spatially integrated, what we call one plan, to address poverty, unemployment, and inequality. Currently, over 30 districts or metros are executing at least one DDM catalytic project. In this regard, we are engaged on outreach service delivery programs to evaluate progress achieved in the rollout of the DDM, including monitoring the implementation of catalytic projects. On the 2nd of October this year, we embarked on a service delivery working visit to the community of Hunu in OR Tambo District Municipality in the Eastern Cape Province as part of government efforts to strengthen the capacity to deliver public services to communities. This visit was in response to service delivery concerns raised by representatives of the Hunu community during our visit to Enyandeni Royal Palace in Lebote on the 19th of August this year. During the visit, we had an opportunity to strengthen our partnerships with critical stakeholders like traditional leaders, business, academics, and non-governmental organizations. Through the Department of Small Business Development, which is an active participant in DDM, we have developed what we call small, micro, and medium enterprise support plan that aligns with the DDM and is escalated to the district level. This ensures that small businesses support is included in each district one plan. Over the past 3 years, the Small Enterprise Development and Finance Agency has disbursed over 6.7 billion rands across all the 52 district municipalities and metros. Furthermore, the Minister of Electricity and Energy addressed the 5th investment conference in Limpopo themed Limpopo Rising, Africa's New Investment Frontier, which focus on attracting vital investments and fostering economic growth in the region. Amongst other things, the conference focused on the transformation of special economic zones, SEZs, and industrial parks, particularly in the Musina Makado SEZ, and the designation of the Fetakomu Tubatse Industrial Park as SEZ, aiming to unlock the potential for economic transformation. This demonstrates our government's commitment to create jobs for local communities utilizing the DDM approach. Despite these achievements, the implementation of DDM continue to face capacity challenges at municipal level, including inadequate budgets to implement DDM plans and inadequate local economic data and inconsistent monitoring framework to measure progress. In this regard, ministers have been appointed as DDM champions to strengthen the whole of government approach in addressing these challenges. Lastly, Chairperson, Through the DDM-based planning, we will better align our industrialization and small enterprise development intervention to local opportunities, integrate local enterprises into value chains, and strengthen local economies to create sustainable employment opportunities. I thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable Hlongo.
Thank you, Deputy President, for the response. DP, the district development model remains one of government's most important instruments for building a capable development state and for ensuring integrated planning and implementation across all spheres of government. However, as we move from planning to implementation, the real test of the DDM will depend on how effectively government can finance and account for integrated projects across districts and metros. This speaks directly to the sustainability and accountability of the one plan, one budget approach. Therefore, DP, my follow-up question is, how will the one plan for different districts be financed in 48 districts and 8 metros, as its implementation requires an integrated financing approach involving national departments, provinces, local government, state entities, and even the private sector? How will government have to adjust its auditing system to accommodate integrated project implementation required by the district development model? Thank you.
Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Hlongo, what we are doing in the 44 districts and 8 metros is to ensure that there are these one plans, and therefore, in terms of financing, it's really to ensure that government at national, provincial, and local level align their funding of these plans. The reason being that you would find that, or maybe let me say, what is the mischief we were dealing with? The problem was you have national government departments having plans at district level, in particular provinces, but provinces are not involved. So we were working in silos. So the president said, no, let's align. Let's make sure if the plan is to build a school in a particular district by the National Department of Education, surely the province must get involved, the municipality must get involved, because there are things that we must, all of us do. National Department will build a school, but the province must ensure that there is a road that goes to the school. The municipality must ensure that water is going to be supplied to the school. And all of them have budgets for this. So all they need to do, once they've agreed that this is a plan, then they bring the budgets, because they have the budgets already. So you don't need new money to finance the one plan. You are just realigning the budget that are already there to prioritize what the plan is that is agreed upon. So that's really what we are going to do. We're going to end silos and ensure that funding is aligned. You don't want a situation where the school is built, there's no road going to a school because the municipality says, oh, well, we were not aware that building a school was a priority, so we have not budgeted for that. Or we can't bring water into that area because we are busy elsewhere. So this is forcing the whole of government approach in doing things. And that's really what we're trying to do. Kens.
Honorable Chance, you may ask the next follow-up.
Thank you, House Chair. Deputy President, The district development model continues to be presented by the ANC as a silver bullet to improve service delivery and economic development for South Africans. Yet since being piloted, we have seen very little change. The one-stop shop initiative that was intended to cut red tape and support small business is being held captive by the very same problems the DA has warned about: cadre deployment, bureaucracy, and the lack of consequence management for underperformance. With so many municipalities, even under the DDM pilot sites, that are either dysfunctional or under administration, how do you intend to ensure that the one-stop shop initiative doesn't become another quick fix that doesn't fix anything? Importantly, Deputy President, what specific interventions will you implement to end cadre deployment, ensure accountability, and ensure that professionals are appointed to drive the ease of doing business initiative so that SMMEs actually benefit and jobs ultimately are created?
Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Honourable Member, the DDM is not a quick fix solution. It arises out of long-term planning. But what you're doing here, you're forcing government to have a discipline of working as a government at all spheres. You're forcing them to work together rather than in silos, because we have seen in the past where, you know, and I'll make an example that many of you may have come across. You find that a hospital is built, maybe by a local authority or a province, and the National Department of Health says, no, we don't have money to send nurses there or doctors, because we're not planning as the government. We're planning separately. So the DDM really is forcing the discipline of doing things as a whole of government. Nothing must happen in the district that requires national government. The national government doesn't know about it, or vice versa. That the province doesn't know, or the metro, or the municipality in the area doesn't know. Obviously, because these government departments will accept this plan, accountability is there. Because when you build a school in a particular area, surely the DG of education make sure that the resources are going to be spent properly and hold people accountable. Same as a province, same as a municipality. So accountabilities are there, but we have also now agreed, as I said earlier, let small businesses also benefit from the work we are doing. So we're bringing them in as well. So we're not going to leave SMEs behind. They are going to be part of this initiative to benefit from what we are doing. The government officials, the DGs, the city managers, they must ensure accountability. That's their job, where resources of the people are spent. And we are going to make sure so that, because once you have proper systems, you can make sure that there is no room for corruption and all malfeasance. And that requires the officials to do their work, the DGs, the city managers, the provincial DGs, DGs of departments, and so on. But this is the best way to get government at all levels to work as government, rather than 101 entities. Thank you very much. Thank you, Honourable Chairperson.
Thank you, Deputy President. The next follow-up is to be asked by the Honourable Mwali.
Thank you, Deputy President. The district development model lacks clarity regarding governance roles and structures. And the district development model hubs have seen lacking the authority and to ensure effective participation from all stakeholders. Like in the IDP processes, Deputy President, stakeholders like traditional leaders are being alienated by the so-called GNU due to inadequate consultation, which hinders the buy-in and cooperation. Now, the question, Deputy President, is why is it taking forever to recognize the relevance of traditional leaders in your governance model? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Mwale. In fact, we have solved that problem. Yeah, I personally did. Yes, remember, one of my responsibilities given by the president is to work with traditional leaders. And in fact, I recall very well that it was in 2024 when I was in KZN, where traditional leaders raised this sharply, that where do we fit in the DDM approach? And I said, no, you are right. In fact, you are part of it. We're going to make sure that when we say who are the role players in the DDM, we don't leave the traditional leaders behind. It may well be that maybe there's some area where you have noticed the lack of this. We're going to fix it. Just whisper to me where that place is. But in principle, it is done. The traditional leaders are part of the DDM. You can't leave them behind, because when you go to rural areas, you can't say in the rural areas, oh, we're coming to build a school here, and the traditional leaders are not part of that. It can't happen. That's how we should work. So thank you for raising again. I'll also ask my office to check if there are some areas in our country where traditional leaders are left behind. They shouldn't be. We must work with them. Thank you very much for the question. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Deputy President. The last supplementary question will be asked by the Honorable Matopa.
Thank you, House Chair. The DDM was introduced with the bold promise of transforming how government coordinates development across local, district, and provincial spheres. It was meant to integrate planning, accelerate localized economic growth, and support SMMEs through better market linkages and district-level industrialization. However, several years into the rollout, the results remain uneven and in many areas deeply concerning. Deputy President, considering persistent governance failures, capacity constraints, and corruption at municipal level, what concrete mechanisms are in place within the DDM to ensure financial responsibility and consequence management so that funds earmarked for local development actually reach communities and SMMEs? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Matopa, for the follow-up. You see, the good thing with the DDM is that in itself, it's not an institution. It's a mechanism. That's why we call it the DDM approach. So accountability lies in the institutions. When money has to be used, the DG takes responsibility with the DDGs, the chief directors. So does the city manager and all the managers, right down to the municipality or a district municipality. So this is an approach of saying, bring your efforts together. Let's prioritize together. But the budgets are in the institutions. So you'll never find some funding sitting somewhere and someone saying this is the DDM budget. It doesn't exist. It's in the institutions. And that's why it's easy to force accountability, because there's no money goes, the money goes to the projects. So once the project is agreed upon by all spheres of government, they fund the project. They take responsibility for that. They account for that. They audit for that. They ensure the right people are appointed, that the right reporting mechanisms, so that you don't have resources being wasted by any of the players in the DDM. But the best thing with the DDM is that we are now forcing the discipline of prioritizing, of aligning, and making sure that we can make an impact in the way we deliver services. That's what we're doing. We'll continue to perfect it. Remember, it's a new concept that the president started a few years ago. So we'll continue to perfect it as it goes, but we're getting it right. Thank you very much, Honourable Member, for your question. Thank you, Honourable Chairperson.
Honourable members, that concludes questions to the Deputy President, and we thank the Deputy President for being with us this afternoon. Honourable members, the Secretary will now read the first order of the day.
Decision of question on report of Portfolio Committee on Water and Sanitation on second and third quarterly expenditure reports for vote 41 Water and Sanitation 2024-25 financial year.
Honourable members, I wish to remind you that this matter was debated in a virtual mini plenary on this last Friday, the 7th of November, but that in terms of our rules, a decision thereon can only be taken in a full plenary. This will also be the case for other decisions of question the House will decide on when we consider the second to the 9th orders after this first order. Are there any objections to the adoption of this report? The Chief Whip of the MK.
Thank you, House Chair. Kindly note the MK's objection.
Thank you. Any other objections? The EFF?
EFF objects.
Thank you. Any further? The UAT?
The UAT object.
Thank you. I see no other hands. With those objections noted, the report is agreed to. The Secretary will read the second order.
Decision of question on report of Portfolio Committee on Sport, Arts and Culture on oversight visit to Northwest Province from 25 to 28 February 2025.
Honourable members, are there any objections to the adoption of this report? The MK?
Umkhonto Sizwe objects. Thank you.
Thank you. The EFF?
Note the objection of the EFF.
Thank you. The UAT?
The UAT object.
Thank you. Any other objections? No further objections. With those objections noted, the report is agreed to. The Secretary will read the third order.
Decision of question on report of Portfolio Committee on Basic Education on oversight visit to Gauteng Provincial Education Department.
Honourable members, are there any objections to the adoption of this report? The MKP?
Please note the objection of Umkhonto Sizwe. Thank you.
Thank you. The EFF?
EFF object.
Thank you. The UAT?
UAT object.
Thank you. Any further objections? With those three objections noted, the report is agreed to. The Secretary will now read the fourth order.
Decision of question on report of Portfolio Committee on Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs on oversight visit to Merafong, Johannesburg and Tshwane.
Are there any objections to the adoption of this report? The MK?
Umkhonto Sizwe objects. Thank you.
The EFF?
We object kakhulu on this one, kakhulu.
Thank you. The UAT?
UAT object.
Thank you. Any further objections? With those three objections noted, the report is agreed to. The Secretary will read the fifth order.
Decision of question on report of Portfolio Committee on Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs on oversight visit to Free State.
Honourable members, are there any objections to the adoption of this report? The MKP?
Please note the objection of MKP to this report.
Thank you. Is there a hand from the EFF?
Of course, Free State is West municipalities. We object, Chair.
Thank you. We don't need reasons.
It's not up to you. It's not up to you.
Object.
The action essay?
On a point of order, Chair. Do these parties not attend these oversight meetings and are they not part of compiling these reports?
No, Honourable Tralbe,
Order, Chair.
I don't think
No one
that
must
is-
speak for us.
Yeah,
You
no,
were
no, no,
there
no.
and then-
Everyone, stand down.
No one will tell us something.
Order.
We're objecting here. We're
Order.
representing our political parties here.
Honorable Mkalipi, honorable members, parties who are represented in the National Assembly have a right, and I would think a responsibility, to apply their minds to all reports, whether they were part of these oversight visits or not. So, Honorable Trollip, that's unfortunately not a point of order that can be dealt with or sustained. Are there any further objections to the adoption of this report?
Did you record the EFF objection?
Yes, we did. We have three objections on record. Thank you. With those three objections on record, the report is agreed to. The Secretary will now read the sixth order.
Decision of question on report of Portfolio Committee on Public Service and Administration on oversight visit to Northwest and Gauteng provinces from 24 to 28 March 2025.
Honourable members, are there any objections to the adoption of these reports? The MKP?
Please note the objection of NK.
The EFF?
EFF objects.
The UIT?
The UIT object.
Thank you. Any further objections? With those objections noted, this report is also agreed to. The Secretary will read the seventh order.
Decision of question on report of Portfolio Committee on Public Works and Infrastructure on oversight visit to Eastern Cape.
Honourable members, are there any objections to the adoption of this report? The MKP?
MKP objects to this report. Thank you.
Thank you. The EFF?
EFF objects to this report.
Thank you. The UIT?
The UIT object.
Thank you. Any further objections? With those three objections noted, the report is agreed to. The Secretary will now read the eighth order.
Decision of question on report of Portfolio Committee on Communications and Digital Technologies on 2024-25 third and fourth quarter performance and financial reports of Government Communication and Information System and Media Development and Diversity Agency.
Honourable members, are there any objections to the adoption of this report? The MKP?
We object with contempt. Thank you.
Thank you. The EFF?
We object without fear or favor.
Thank you. Thank you. The UIT?
The UIT object.
Thank you. Any further objections? Honourable members, with those three objections noted, the report is agreed to. The Secretary will read the last order of the day.
Decision of question on report of Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs on oversight visit to government printing works in Pretoria.
Are there any objections to the adoption of this report? Honourable Douglas, are you going to surprise us?
No, the MKP rejects this one completely.
Thank you. The EFF?
Yeah, please note the objection of the EFF.
Thank you. The UIT?
The UIT object.
Thank you. Any further objections? With those three objections noted, the report is agreed to. Order, honourable members, I request you to stand and wait for the presiding officer and the mace to leave the chamber. That concludes the business for the day. The House is adjourned.
Long live the chair.